Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a brand new interview with one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. And if you're enjoying The Director's Cut, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. We love hearing your feedback. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Niki Caro's new World War II-era film, The Zookeeper's Wife. Based on a 2007 non-fiction book by Diane Ackerman, the film stars Jessica Chastain as Antonina Zabinska, who runs the Warsaw Zoo alongside her husband, Jan. When their peaceful lives are threatened after their zoo is razed during the German occupation of Poland in 1939, the Zabinskis find themselves creating elaborate plans to save hundreds of Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto. In addition to The Zookeeper's Wife, some of Ms. Caro's credits include the feature films North Country, Whale Rider, McFarland USA, The Vintner's Luck, and Memory and Desire. Ms. Caro's short film Sure to Rise was nominated for the Palme d'Or Award at the 1994 Cannes Film Festival. After a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Ms. Caro spoke with fellow director Lesli Linka Glatter about making The Zookeeper's Wife. During their conversation, Ms. Caro touches on the happy accident that led to the film's arresting first image, her experience working with Jessica Chastain, whom she describes as immaculately prepared, and the ways in which she relied on old-school film tricks to shoot scenes that prominently featured real animals.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie, and I promise you I will not sing since I'm tone deaf. But we do get to talk to Niki Caro, whose incredible film, I'm still so moved that I can barely speak, but I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you. And we've both been mentors at Sundance together, so we got to know each other, and I got to listen to her talk about her process, and now I'm thrilled to be able to ask some questions about this particular movie today. So,
thank you, Leslie.
One of the things that struck me with your work is the incredible humanity that you bring to everything, and how you can take a subject that is so vast and on this huge canvas and make it so intimate. And I really feel with this movie you've done it again in such a profound way. Dealing with a historical time and a historical character. I'd love to hear about your process of working with the screenwriter and what drew you to the material. I mean, the material is so powerful.
Okay. Well, like pretty much everybody in the world, I'd never heard the name Antonina Zabinska, let alone the role she played in history. And I loved that she was real. I loved that it was a true story. I was very daunted by that period of time and by this genre. And I had to ask myself a lot of hard questions about what, if anything, I could contribute to that genre, because as we know, there've been many, many films and a number of them very, very good. After I thought about it, it was that, I felt that in this story there was the opportunity to make a Holocaust movie that in its own very small way moved the genre a little into a place of humanity and healing, and as far as feeling very intimate goes, all of that was very conscious in the filmmaking, to make a movie that didn't take the position of, oh, we're looking back at this time in history and it was horrifying, but more, we are experiencing it now with Antonina and her husband and their friends, and like them, it's unfolding for us. And if one question comes up after this movie that I've heard a lot, is people go, what would I do? Would I have had that courage? Would I have had that level of humanity?
That's certainly one of the themes that always resonates with me is people being put in extraordinary circumstances where they're forced to deal with who they really are. And I want to believe if the bombs start falling now, I will save both of us. But I have never been tested in that way, so I don't know that. So it's such a compelling thing to deal with a character who was real, who made that choice against horrible circumstances.
Yeah, they didn't. The Zabinskis never considered themselves heroic, ever. Their children considered their parents heroic. But they didn't. They thought they were ordinary Christian people. They did what they did because at the time it was the right thing to do. And that's profound, I think.
It is profound. And was this a script that was sent to you? Did you work with the screenwriter on developing?
Yeah, Angela Workman wrote the screenplay. The best first 20 pages of any script I'd ever read. Didn't change very much, actually. The whole elephant deal. And we worked over, I don't know, maybe 3 drafts. I started 7 years ago. And it was adapted from Diane Ackerman's book 10 years ago, which was in itself adapted by Antonina's journals. So it's been very carefully, Antonina's story has been very carefully sort of handed from woman to woman throughout this process.
Wow, that's incredible. And are there relatives still around that have been?
Yeah, her children. Teresa he's a little blonde baby in the movie, and is also the very beautiful looking older woman sitting on the couch with our producer Kim in the cocktail party scene.
Wow.
She was very, very close to us through the whole thing, and loves the movie, feels that we have honoured her parents. So
what an amazing,
thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about working with, what an incredible cast. Jessica Chastain
She's ridiculous.
And your process of working with her, with Daniel Bruhl, was also incredible, really.
Yeah, we were under quite a lot of pressure to hire A-list male actors, and I can say this in this room, but I probably wouldn't say it, publicly, how difficult it has been for me in the movies that I've made to cast A-list guys in secondary roles, and women in female-centered movies, movies with a female lead. So we were sort of up against it in that department, and Jessica actually brought my attention to Johan Heldenberg, which if you guys haven't seen Broken Circle Breakdown, you absolutely should. It's an incredible film that he actually wrote the original material for, so he's stellar. And Daniel's just amazing, and those guys were such great partners for Jessica, such great partners for me.
Amazing cast. And working with her, you've worked with such extraordinary actresses and gotten amazing performances, throughout your...
Yeah, Jessica's, she's sort of different in some ways than some of the others I've worked with because she is so deeply skilled. She's classically trained, immaculately prepared, fiercely intelligent, incredibly and magnificently generous with her scene partners, whether they are human or animal. And every time she would come onto the set, even given the intense level of preparation, she learnt to play the piano and the accent work and the animal work and everything, she would still come on set for every single one of those 100+ scenes. And it would be like I was seeing it fresh every time. It was a masterclass, I swear. Wow. And it was always a very good day at the office, Leslie.
And speaking of animals, how did you work with those animals? Because I remember having brunch with you in Berlin, and you were using, these are all real animals, and the scene with her saving the baby elephant, those are real elephants. She's in a cage with real.
Yeah, the animal work generally, I couldn't imagine making this movie with fake animals. And the budget couldn't have withstood that either. The trick here's a trick, is no tricks, no special tricks with the animals. Just let the animals be themselves, let them do their thing. So the trick really is helping the crew and the the producers and financiers understand and be good with the idea that we're going to go off script where we need to. And we did. I mean, the opening shot of the movie was scripted to be Antonina feeding to the lion cubs with bottle, like a traditional kind of mother and child image. But the little baby cubs came to set and they'd already been fed. And like all little babies, after they'd been fed, they just wanted to go to sleep. Right. So there was no choice. I mean, I wasn't going to make them have more food and be uncomfortable. So we just put them on the bed and let them sleep. And it's a much better image, I think, to have the camera behind her. She's quite elusive and enigmatic, and she's watching her sleeping children. Only, they're two different species. And that little lion, it puts its head up and its little ear goes like this because they were so attuned to her. She's a whisperer. Wow. She really, actually, genuinely is.
And it's such an incredibly beautiful beginning and image of, all of these children sleeping together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
how did you deal with the invasion?
Oh yes, okay. So, yeah, quite a low budget movie, really. It looks like more expensive than it was. I swear. And that's the thing. How do you express the coming of war when you're in a zoo? And so in prep, I had my assistant pull every single bit of crappy footage of the internet of an animal reacting to something, even if the reactions were very, very small. And I had all of that sent to my editor, who cut together a sort of really crude previs to the sound of Stuka bombers. I wanted to see if it would work to have the animals sense the coming of war. And so that's what we have. When you see animals in distress, I swear none of them were. If they're looking really agitated, they're mostly following the boom pole, or in the case of the monkeys, playing with a guy called Robert. And so you take away that incredible sound design, and really it is just a bunch of animals looking around. It's really old. It's such old school filmmaking, I swear.
That's totally fascinating. And that scene with her with the baby elephant, was that elephants are very kind, but they can also be dangerous too.
Yeah, here's the other thing about elephants. We know they're super smart, but they also get bored very easily. Probably a condition of being very smart.
So like take 2 or take 3?
No, it's every 2 hours they have to have a break for 45 minutes. They go out the back and they just chill out and recalibrate or whatever they do, and they come back. But that sequence was so 2 nights, freezing cold. 2 elephants, a child, a bunch of extras from the cocktail party. The little elephant is a puppet, the one that's not breathing. When it's revived, it's our only CG animal. I can say to you guys, the first night, I wouldn't say we were covering ourselves in glory the first night. It was okay. But I spent the next day just going through every single shot and figuring out exactly what we didn't have and what I needed to get, and going back the next night making sure we got it. But the trick was animal engagement. Lily was the elephant, and she wasn't that into it, honestly, the first night, until we figured out that we could hide apples around Jessica. So under the puppet and kind of under Jessica's tiny little cocktail dress. And so that elephant doing this all around her, she's covered in elephant snot, I swear, is Lily looking for apples. And this is all of the animal work was like this. Wow. This is how we did it. Yeah.
That is so fascinating. So she's looking, because it was so intimate and beautiful. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, great sound design.
Yes.
on all of these animal sequences, which just completely brings it to life.
And, it's photographed so beautifully. What is your process of working, your directorial process of working with your team? I mean, you obviously had a Czech crew and your cinematographer and your...
Yeah, Andrei Perek, amazing. And Susie Davies, production designer, total goddess.
So you built the whole zoo.
We built the zoo, yeah. It was impossible to shoot in an existing zoo.
Yeah.
I mean, production design-wise, it wouldn't have expressed Warsaw in the 30s. And also issues of access and safety and, no, I'd still be there shooting. So we built our own one, which was amazing. The villa in the movie is identical to the villa in the Warsaw Zoo.
Wow.
So should you go to the Warsaw Zoo, you can literally go inside that building, and the basement's all there, and the bugs and the piano and everything's exactly the same.
And is this the first time you'd collaborated with that DP?
Yeah, Andre, he's amazing. We were in a location van on an endless Czech Republic location scout when we realized we have the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's like my little filmmaking twin or something. Wow. It's really good.
And you've worked with the same editor over and over again.
The whole time since Whale Rider. Yeah,
wow.
and for the first time we were completely separated on the other side of the world from each other. He was here, and I was there, and it was great because I go to sleep at night and I'd wake up in the morning and he'd already cut what I'd shot that day. So, yeah, I don't have to go in the edit room anymore.
And how was your Czech team? Because
they're amazing.
Yeah,
they're really, really good. Solid. They do. There's a lot of production there, and that was a problem because we got financed. We sort of had to ramp up really fast, and all the studios were taken. So we had to create our studio space in an air conditioning factory, which wasn't ideal at all, sound-wise. No.
And I have to ask about a couple of scenes that were just so extraordinary. The scene with the young girl who was raped, and she doesn't utter a word for the first scene, and Jessica Antonina is there talking to her. I mean, the performance, it went back to Whale Rider for me, of that incredible performance of that young girl. But yeah, it was...
I can't take any credit for that. It's Shira. Shira Haas. She's Israeli. And, we had 100 and dozens of really, really, really great girls from... we were casting out of the United Kingdom. And they were wonderful. But as soon as I saw Shira's self-tape, I just said, I don't want to see any of these other girls. Don't waste their time. They're not going to get this role. It belongs to Shira.
Wow. Well, that was an incredible sequence because, I mean, she doesn't speak, and yet she says everything. Yeah,
the whole idea was what had been done to her had rendered her animal. And therefore somebody that Antonina knew instinctively how to deal with. And also there's a little bunny in that scene. That was funny because we showed up to shoot it, and they came with the bunny. The animal handler, small animal person, came with the bunny. And the bunny was about this big. It was the biggest, ugliest rabbit you've ever seen in your life.
The biggest rabbit you've ever seen.
I just said, no, we can't do it. We can't do it. So various PAs were dispatched to pet shops across Prague to find a small, adorable bunny. And I'm happy to say that bunny now lives a very beautiful life. Now it's been in the film industry. It's not some Czech child's pet. Is now living a beautiful, bucolic life in a small farm in Prague.
That's hilarious. Thank goodness the bunny, well-behaved bunny.
And that, where it just, I'm an idiot. I can tell you this. I can tell you guys this. We shot that scene, and I guess I was so into the actresses and everything that I forgot to get the bunny close up. And so I forgot to get the shot where the bunny goes across. And so, overnight, the editor brings that to my attention. So we're back on set the next day and have to pick up the shot. And that little bunny, take one. Yep, just walked across, her hands come down. Amazing.
You're definitely the animal whisperer. Because
I think with animals, it's just like they're so sensitive.
Right.
If you have babies on set, exactly the same thing, and some really gifted actors are the same, that they are so sensitive at a cellular level that you just have to calm yourself right down. You have to make sure everybody around the camera is just calm it down, very quiet. And then the animals are fine. They're really curious and they do some great stuff.
Well, I've had bad experiences with mice, so I guess I was not common.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, they just wouldn't do anything that they needed to do. Mice are not so smart either, and it just had to run forward, but it didn't want to do any of that. Okay. So
you probably you needed Jessica or
I obviously needed some assistance there. Mm-hmm. I want to go to that scene where Heck discovers the painting, and that the painting is so amazing and magical.
Yeah, it wasn't for a while there. It was a 46-day shoot. We were always, pushing the limits of it all the time. So when we came on set to shoot that stuff and it was revealed all the drawings on the walls, they weren't that good. We hadn't explored it enough, and I was so sure of what it had to be, which was kind of Chagall-like and folk art-like. And so there was a moment of kind of total crisis, and the art department, bless them, every single one of them were on the floor with pencils and paper, and they were just drawing, and handing me things like this. And when they finally got it, it's like, yes. Wow. Then they it just flourished along the wall. They did it so fast. Yeah.
It's so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
And just after these people have been living there, and then that is what the children did, what's left, it was such an incredible image. So I was wondering where that came from. And I have also the scene with Antonina and Hecht when she goes to find out where Jan is. I mean, that's a really incredibly intense scene. And what was your process? What was the process of? Yeah,
I had just 2 ideas. It's good when you don't have too many, I've discovered. And one of them was the ribbon.
Yes.
Which we see she's wearing in the first time he talks to her, and he remembers it. And the bigger idea of that scene is that Antonina goes to him prepared to have sex with him to find out information about her husband. Yes. The flip side of it is that he can't perform if she doesn't love him. And so that moment where she says, "You disgust me," changes everything. He couldn't, rape her, even if he had wanted to. He couldn't. And so that very simple idea of that exchange of power was quite enough to make that scene work. And Jessica and Daniel, fantastic relationship. In between takes, we're all laughing and, joking around. They don't hold on to it. They're not method actors. And they took care of each other. And it was a really great, it was one of my best days. I really enjoyed it.
That's so interesting to hear that, because with an intense scene like that, you don't know if that's incredibly difficult or...
Yeah, it's interesting where your level of engagement is emotionally with the story, because I think there's a point at which you can get really indulgent as a director. That you actually, I think you have to be emotionally right there with the actors and prepared to support them in every moment. On the other hand, you protect them by keeping yourself in some kind of professional distance, so you can be very discerning about the work.
Just out of curiosity, did you shoot that toward the end of the shoot, or was it?
It was week 4.
So they knew each other well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of images that are like when the ash, when the kid says it's snowing outside, and it was the ash, is just such a profound moment and such an incredible way to deal with that.
Yeah. Teresa told me about that when we went to Warsaw, and I was standing on the balcony with her, and she was telling me about what her mother told her about that. So to actually be on the terrace of the actual villa and the child of Antonina telling me what her mother could see, very vivid and inspiring. And we did that with little bits of black plastic blowing up from a big fan, couple of big fans. And critically, we did it at magic hour on the perfect day. It was the last shot of week 1. And
wow.
I remember sitting on the terrace just being wiped out by that week and finishing with that scene, but knowing that it was going to be so beautiful in exactly the way that it had been envisioned.
Wow, because it was beautiful and horrifying at the same time.
Yeah, and I think one thing that makes it as good as it is really Harry Gregson Williams' score.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah. He's incredible.
And another there were so many images, such an incredible film, but a scene that I feel like I've seen before, which is, of course, the horrible image of the Jews being put on the train. But the image that will stay with me forever that I've never seen is all of the children looking up to be lifted. Was so, it just killed me.
Yeah. I mean, that was super important to me to get that, as a parent or even just as a human being, when a child lifts their arms up to you with all certainty that you will take care of them.
That's what it felt
like. Oh. And it wasn't, in fact, that scene wasn't originally in the script, or at least Jan was originally outside of the gate watching, and so I had Angela kind of move it inside and make it very personal for him. And yeah, I mean, Johan is so good, and those children,
oh my God.
I mean, bless them, bunch of Czech children having the best time. Just what a day, getting into the wardrobe and, jumping on the train. They had no idea. And so you've got half the crew in tears because, they're all responding to the image, but the kids are like, oh, just
this is fun. Someone's picking me up and putting me in a train.
Yeah. I think it's those things that we all look for, right? Where an image can express something very big without words.
And you do that so beautifully.
Cheers.
But those moments were just, it's very profound. So with all of this, what were there particular high or low points, in your process of 46 days of shooting and?
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, it was a really happy shoot, actually. It was a really good place to shoot. I was surrounded by amazing people. I felt the responsibility of recreating the ghetto. I felt that very, very deeply, and really wanted to honor the millions that died by celebrating 300 that survived, and that's actually a tricky line to walk. But again, try to keep it grounded and within the world of the characters. So the first time we go into the ghetto, we're seeing it literally from Jan's point of view, yes, as an outsider, as somebody who can come and go. And he has his son there, so you have that context as well. And we shot in Joseph. Czech extras are amazing. Those guys are incredible. Yeah, I mean, I have a thing about extras.
Oh, me too.
When I shot North Country, I made Warner Brothers. I made them allow me to bring all the extras from northern Minnesota to New Mexico. Hundreds of them. They let me as well. Because people in New Mexico didn't look like people from northern Minnesota, and I'd already shot in northern Minnesota. So
when you were doing North Country.
Yeah. So for me, it's like any person that's occupying space up there has to be amazing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm laughing because my amazing AD that I work with all the time, Sunday Stevens, is out there.
Oh, hi,
so
Sunday.
when I looked up, and because I do this with extras all the time when I'm on the set, and I'm like, if something doesn't feel real, and I'm looking at it, that's what I'm looking at, rather than the scene.
Yeah.
And it pulls me out completely. And it felt like everyone was so real and completely part of what was happening.
Yeah, they were. There is one. My editor, David, says there's always one.
Oh, there's one.
There's one extra, and they're overacting up a storm.
Really? I didn't know. I've seen this a couple of times now. Did not see that.
That's all I can see.
Of course
I'm never going to tell you where it is, but it's there.
That's so interesting. Well, but I totally get that. That's part of the picture you're creating. That's part of the world. And, if something takes you out, it's, Now, did you bring your AD and then have a Czech AD? How did that work there?
I couldn't. I normally work with an AD here, but she didn't qualify for the tax credit, so the European tax credit.
Right.
So I had a great AD called Phil Booth out of London, and he bought his second, and then we had Czech thirds. And
yes,
it was great.
That's good. This is what you want to feel after like an amazing shoot.
Yeah,
that it was such a great, experience. And is there anything like was there anything that was incredibly? I'm sure there were tons of things that were challenging. The subtlety of dealing with this material and the intimacy of the characters, and how you chose to let us see the world like Jan's point of view going into the ghetto. Was there anything that when you started working on, you were really concerned about? I mean, there's a pile this high. A big one was, in kind of early prep, in fact, before we went to Europe, the distributor and the money was asking me how I was going to do certain stuff, particularly bombing the zoo and then the animals kind of roaming through the streets of Warsaw, and they'd say to me, well, how are you going to put the lion in the road? And I would say to them, well, I'm going to put the lion in the road. and it was, it's such a simple idea and so easily achieved, because the only issue is securing the perimeter. Right. So we were shooting in a little town called Joseph, which was also our ghetto location. We had to really barricade the shit out of that little place, a couple of blocks, figure out how to get unmanned cameras, and a crane went over the barricade, right, and there was another camera on a little remote control rig, and the others were from up high, apartments up high, and we had corresponding shots of people, looking down. Yes. And those two lions and the tiger, just letting them free and watching them play. We put a bunch of rubble, and there was a baby carriage as part of that set, because we're saying Warsaw had been bombed. So there's a baby carriage, and they'd put a little bit of chicken in the baby carriage
to see if the animals, might be interested in the baby carriage. The tiger just went for the baby carriage. It was really macabre. We could never use
God.
it, just to get the chicken. Not a live chicken, just a piece of chicken meat.
There could have been more chicken.
Yeah, it was mostly that sort of stuff that had very simple, I like to think, quite elegant solutions.
Yes.
And the other big one was the bison mating scene, and how the hell do you achieve that?
Yes.
Because that actually can only happen on one day of the year in a field somewhere. It's a little bit of there's a little bit of creative license taken in that they are corralled, but that is literally just one bison standing on a ramp, and Jessica and Daniel holding a rope around the other. A lot of amazing sound design, some tricky editing with shots going backwards instead of forwards, all like super old school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so great in this world of so much digital technology and vis effects that, to really the fact that you did this all.
Yeah, I think for me, the problem with CG animals is that although we can make them photoreal, they will always be a human's idea of how an animal is behaving in that moment. And we can't do that. I mean, we are not tigers. And so the amazing thing about working with real animals is that they're absolutely authentic and always completely surprising.
And they behave like animals.
Yeah,
they behave like they
it's
do.
not a bunch of guys in a room going, "Oh, couldn't it look a little bit more surprised?" or something. Yeah.
But that's fascinating about the mating. I mean, somehow I just accepted that as happening. I don't know why. But
Well done.
I guess I was supposed to. It worked great in the story. I'm like, wow. But the fact that that's how you did it on I love hearing this. I mean, that's what's so amazing about these kind of conversations.
And the little bison, that they are sort of petting when Jan walks up is a puppet that has a really skinny, fully pierced and tattooed Czech guy kind of on the inside, kind of animating its mouth.
Which is, that's what's so great. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I now want to go back and look at it and go, oh, there's a pierced, tattooed Czech guy.
Yeah, no, he's in
inside.
there. Yeah.
And so, this is kind of a hard question, but did the film come out the way you had kind of imagined? In the process of
Yeah, it did. It was very consciously feminine. That was, fully consciously in every department. And that takes a bit of confidence and courage, actually, to commit to the idea that Antonina herself should inspire every level of this filmmaking.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm female, so is she, and that I think it's not surprising to me that we haven't heard this story before, because I think historically a lot of the women's experience has been considered less relevant, particularly in wartime, and particularly historically. So, to be inspired by her and really commit to her role in that war, the way she fought that evil with her own kind of light and compassion and care. When you've got Jan, as a member of the resistance, going off and doing, he's got a lot of action, to commit to the person who's at home in the basement, offering not just refuge but real sanctuary with music and art, and that felt so. That felt kind of new to me, and I wanted to honor that.
I think it is. We've seen, mostly we see war through the soldiers who are fighting.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
they're not, and there's scenes we've seen before.
Yes.
They're also quite fun scenes to shoot, actually, because we couldn't afford to do them in the main unit, so I would go on my days off and direct the second unit. Right. And all of that, you know, blowing it up, that's the best fun ever. Yeah. But that wasn't. Yeah, no, I know you know it. Yeah. But that wasn't, you know, where the soul of the story was and needed to be.
No, and I think seeing that particular war from a female point of view and someone who is taking care of, you know, putting themselves on the line and taking care of a huge amount of people is an extraordinary point of view to see, you know, World War II.
Yeah, it's just different, and I mean, I'm sort of excited by the fact that there's so much we don't know, because if this story's out there, then there are so many others of women's experiences historically, and that we can make films about, or we can write books about, you know?
Absolutely. You know, so much untapped material. Yeah. Like I had never heard of the story before.
Yeah, I mean, even people in Poland, you know, didn't know. It wasn't widely known.
And the fact that the zoo is still operational,
yeah,
you know, is an amazing. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Niki, for your amazing. Thank you for coming
very much.
Thank you all. You're amazing.
Thank you, Leslie, so much.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. You can check out past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts, or on our website at dga.org/podcast. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and have a great week. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.